Attack with the armed wing. Go to damage. There's Kalut. And Hector is your RBET Los Angeles champion.
Hey guys, HT19 here, back from RBT LA. I am still on a high from winning, and I'm gonna do a quick profile on here, but also after this go over to Team on the Grind's YouTube channel. I'll link that in the description, as well as the deck profile, where I go over my matchups and more details on my deck choices. In this one, I will go over basically the elephant in the room, which is the draw cards and why we decided to play them. But before we get into that, I have some shout outs that I need to give. First of all, most importantly, shout out to E3 Keegan for hosting the event. I know he has his haters, but one thing we gotta always keep in mind, let's appreciate this man. He is the reason why we're playing Edison. If it were not for him, if it wasn't for him putting Edison on the map, we would not be having tournaments like this. We would not even have Ultimate Time Wizards at YCSs. So think about that. I love that guy. I really appreciate him for, like I said, bringing Edison on the map. So yeah, thanks Keegan. And then next, like I'm really going to mostly focus on direct influences on myself leading up to the event. But before that, I do want to touch on where my Edison roots came from. And like I said, it's kind of E3, but I wouldn't know about E3 if it wasn't for my friend Dominic Meyer. He reintroduced me to this format, and we would just play back at Quality, shout out Quality, in between rounds or after the tournament. So really shout out to Dominic. And then also shout out to Team on the Grind for, basically giving me the opportunity to travel and be at the event, because if it wasn't for that, I would not be there either. So yeah, and then next, I like to give shout outs to people who helped me kind of like play test leading up to the event. First, Andy, David, Sean, and Simon. And then I want to shout out AJTBLS and Team Rhino from Edison War League. AJT because he helped me make a last second decision, which I will go over. And I'll touch on it in this profile, but then I might go over it in Team on the Grind's profile. Next, shout out to my local Emporium TCG. That's my main testing grounds, where I basically take a tournament and like take my deck and play in a tournament. So shout out to Emporium TCG. Next, I want to shout out Fraser Smith and Iron Nerd podcast, because listening to that really helps me with my mentality, helps me with my competitiveness, and really made me want to win a tournament, and here we are. And then also shout out to Beast Mode for introducing me to Fraser in real life, and also for starting to host the War League. Next, I want to shout out Eric Shen, two-time champion, one from RBT, one from Ultimate Time Wizard. I don't want this to sound the wrong way or anything, but like the reason why I really wanted to win is because Eric Shen surpassed me at a point, and I'm like, there's no way I can let him surpass me. I have to come back, and it's kind of like the Michael Jordan thing, and the mentality where like he kind of like made something up in his head to fuel his drive, right? So for me, that was kind of, it's not like necessarily like jealousy or anything. It's just like I have to prove myself. So shout out to Eric Shen. And then I also want to shout out the YCS Indie crew. YCS Indie was a couple weeks ago, so I want to shout out everyone that made that event special. You guys were so fun to hang out with. Also, shout out to the entire Edison War League Discord. And then lastly, shout out to Rick Novak, Kevin Wu, and James Armband for believing in me. I got like message from James Armband the night before. Rick said I was gonna top the next one, and look at that, here I am. And Kevin Wu, official #1 fan, but also a really good friend. So shout out to you guys. And then also I want to shout out the Sauce for my original War League, team, So He Sleepers, because believe it or not, the draw cards was not my direct idea. And I'm not sure if it was the Sauce's direct idea, but that's who I saw it from. I saw him, he mentioned it in the War League, and brought it up. And at first it was kind of just like a meme, but I took that seriously. and I wanted to test that and really grind that out and see what is viable, because like it got to a point where I felt like Edison was kind of like getting kind of stale and solved, and I was like, there has to be something to give myself the slightest edge. So I took that concept and over time ended up with what we have here. But yeah, I mean, those are all the shoutouts. We could go down and look at the deck really quick. So I mean, monster lineup, spell lineup, trap lineup is pretty normal. I mean, not normal, but I mean, it's just all here, right? I'm not, like I said, not going to do too much explaining on ratios and stuff. That will all be in like the Grind TCG's channel. But what I do want to go over is the draw cards and how did I end up playing just these 6. And yes, I did say just these 6 because at some point we did play these as well. So I guess the concept of the deck originally was turbo, see Whirlwind as much as possible, and just freaking be up in so much card advantage because of Whirlwind. It eventually turned into kind of seeing the effectiveness of just these right here, where you could set multiple back row, and it's kind of like you're never going to get like End Phase MST, or you're never going to get Heavy Stormed for a neg, and it really just insulates your back row, but it also duels as that kind of like turbo aspect where you still want to see your Whirlwind or your power cards like that as much as possible. The other thing that is really good about these is also when you open up Gores, you're very likely to also have one of these 6 copies. You could even say 7 because of the shoot putts. One of these 6 copies in your hand as well, and you can just set one back row pass. Chances are your opponent's going to summon something and attack directly into you, and that's another free +1. So, but yeah, I mean, aside from that, I mean, that's really what this is trying to do. I mean, one thing that I guess I kind of really like about this version of the deck with the draw cards is how it starts feeling less like a traditional game of Edison and closer even to like something like, I want to say like chess, where you're putting pressure on certain areas of the field. Sometimes your opponent has a lot of back row set, so you kind of want to set back row as well, especially with cards like Icarus, and like I said, you're setting multiple back row with like these, and you're kind of like trying to like play into like the field, or like it could be the opposite way as well, where your opponent has no back row but like has like a monster or two, and you have the multiple back row, and like they're kind of like scared to like fully commit because you have multiple back row because of these cards. But obviously we also have real back row, so seeing all the back row makes them hesitate, but then you also have enough back row to slow them down. So it really is putting like pressure on the field, and like that's kind of like how chess is played, where you put like pressure on like certain spaces on the board. But yeah, I mean, I guess really quick, the when I mentioned AJTBLS, the one thing that I decided to ask him about is because, well, AJT has been grinding Blackwings specifically, not this version, just a more standard version of Blackwings, and he has gotten really good in a short period of time. AJT is known for his GOAT format skills, being arguably the best GOAT format player of all time, and he was grinding up Blackwings and did really good, and even topped YCS Indy with Blackwings. One thing I noticed in his list is he was only on 1 copy of Armor Master, while I was still running 2 in Forever. I asked him, like, how many times did the second Armor Master come up? And he said, literally never. So I took his word for it, because the card I wanted to play as well, I was in between one of these 2 cards, but I wanted to really play both. And then the other slot would have been the second Armor Master. And yeah, I mean, that was, thanks to him, I made that change. I think Thought Ruler actually did come up once for me in the tournament. So that was a really good change. I might have ended up, I gotta go back and look at the video, but I don't remember if I actually ended up winning that game, but I think that was still a very good decision either way. But yeah, I mean that's all I basically wanted to cover here in this video. I appreciate everyone for watching, and if you have like any more questions, like feel free to shoot me a message on Discord, HT19, or even on Facebook. But yeah, look out for the video on Team on the Grind's channel. Check it out in the description. All right, again, thanks everyone for watching.